So I'm Wynn Matthews. I'm the president of the Guild till the end of this year. How many people we got here?
24.
Yeah, I guess I'm seeing everyone here. So is there anyone here who's a new member? I don't think so. Any guests? I don't see that either. So, okay, so on to a little bit of business. So next month, October, is our annual member meeting at which we have our election. So the election this year is president and secretary. Stacy Rouse standing for president and Rebecca Russell for secretary.
Rebecca Catterall.
Oh yeah, thank you, Rebecca Catterall. That was in my mind, the picture, but it's not what came out of the mouth. Rebecca Catterall for secretary. Anyone else who's interested in being on the ballot, you can let me know secretly or say it right now. So that's all I have. Is there anyone else from the board or committees who has something that they want to announce? Stacy?
Just that because of the art walk, I got a little overwhelmed and I didn't send out a notice reminding people that today was supposed to be the last day to sign up to be a vendor at the Ventura Pottery Market Bowl of Thanks on October 21st and 22nd. And we just had some last minute registrations from talking to people at the art walk. So I've gone ahead and extended the deadline to register for the Ventura Pottery Market, and Terry's left it open. So you can still go in and register for the Ventura Pottery Market to sell there through Saturday, through the end of the day Saturday. So and we still have some openings in team service too as well. So that's a good chance. It's one of the last chances of the year if you haven't, if you're a Plus member and you still need to do your team service, the Pottery Market is the time to do that. That's it.
Anyone else? Okay, so we move on to the program tonight, which is some subset, or maybe everyone, I don't know, sharing pottery collect items, things that we've collected along the years. And Janet Lander is going to manage the conversation. I think she's got the videos that were created and manage the live show and take it away.
Bet. Well, thanks, Wynn. Hi, everyone. So Foz had this wonderful idea when our presenter was not able to present, and everyone's passionate about something they've collected. So it's wonderful. We have 24 people here, and we have 16 who want to share and present. A few people are not here, so their images will be in the PowerPoint with Terry and Wynn presenting live at the end. And so if we were to spend 3 minutes on everyone's presentation, that would bring us to 48 minutes. So I don't know if we want to do three minutes max, but I was just calling that to everyone's attention. And it's 7:06 right now. So I could be a timekeeper so that we're equitable about our time, up to 3 minutes. How does that sound?
Well, we actually have an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. I guess it was Foz who maybe suggested that, we keep it under a certain. Okay, so we could do up to then.
When we're done, we're done. But the meetings were kind of reserved from 7 to 8:30.
Okay, great. So 7 to 8:30. Okay, so we can do at least if everyone's here. Okay, so we can do at least, I don't know, 4, let's see, 24. Okay, so between 4 and 5 minutes. 4 minutes is an hour, and then so up to 5 minutes. Okay. So I'll go ahead and start the PowerPoint, and I'll just set my timer for that amount. And then if there's a minute left, would you like me to tell you that?
A
I guess,
time
I
check, a
guess so.
time check's always good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when there's a minute left, if you haven't ended, I'll say, 1 minute. And then, hold on, let me just put it on. Okay. All right. And thank you everyone for contributing. All right. So you'll see your name here on the screen and you all should just be able to speak. Okay.
Well, I see my name, but they spelled the last name wrong.
Oh, wow.
No.
Well,
Anyway,
I'll make a note of that. I'm just delivering the PowerPoint, but
okay.
anyway.
So, Dr. Paz. Anyway, hi everybody. This is obviously a pit-fired piece, and of all the stuff that I have in my collection, which is quite a bit, this is actually one of mine, and it's actually one of my favorite pieces. This is back from the days when I was throwing on the wheel. I threw this one in two sections, the bottom and then the neck separate, and then attached them together. And it stands about 14 inches tall and 8 inches wide. So it's a nice large piece. And I just love the shape of it. It's just very sensual, the shape of it. And so pit fired. So that's my piece. Any questions? Oh, that I wanted to show, I was recently asked, how do I take photos of my work? And it may not be very professional, but what I do is I put up a sheet of drawing paper. It's a huge sheet of drawing paper. And I have these two lights, which are daylight light. And I arrange them such that I have as little shadow in the back, but also highlights as much as the pot as possible. So this is the configuration I had when I took a picture of that piece, the previous photo.
Whoops. I have a question. Can you tell me about the materials that you used in the arrange that are creating the variety of colors? And is there a terracig on there?
God, it's been so long since I did this one. I don't remember if I put a terracig on there or not. It's possible, because I'm sure I didn't want to burnish it. So yeah, I'd say terracig. I always liked in the past to use straw, kind of make a nest in the straw with copper carbonate table salt, and had access to buffalo or cow chips, cow pies, which I like to use for my fuel. And there's probably was some seaweed in there as well. And it was just open in the fire. It wasn't wrapped in aluminum foil. It was just totally open in the fire.
Yes. And did you do it in an actual pit that you dug, or a barbecue, or at the beach? Do you remember? Or a can, a steel drum?
Gosh, most likely like a fire pit.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't remember where I fired it.
Any other? All right.
Beautiful form.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really like that shape. It was it kind of reminds me a little bit of Magdalena Odungo, who's a
Oh, see
fabulous
that.
artist. If any of you know her work, it's just so gorgeous. But anyway, back in my throwing days, I don't throw anymore.
All right. Anything else for Jeannie? All right. Well, thank you so much. So I think Kim is not here, but here is her piece. And I think she has a few others as well. So I wonder if she made that bowl that she's embellished with her figures on there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did.
And I'm looking at the top there. It looks like, I wonder if there's some sort of armature or something on there. It looks like, almost looks like a steel rod or something. Or maybe it's just the edge of a slab, the way kind of in the center above the forehead and the slabs in the foreground. Whoops.
It looks
Jen,
like a
whose
nichrome
piece
rod.
is this?
This is Kim Clark.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so she submitted, but she's not actually physically here.
Mhm.
It's interesting how she put that checkerboard there to sort of, implied space of that, I'm going to say that room or, creating that space of the bowl as an architectural space. Looks like maybe underglaze, as you think, kind of watered down, sort of more like a watercolor.
Probably, so it looks like it could be like a vase form. And I think that what looks dark might just be the edge of the clay or the color.
Yeah. That would look really amazing. It's amazing seeing a piece like this, if you describe it as a vase, to actually see blooms out of it. I have a piece of Jacques Biaggi that's a small 12-inch sculpture, and it actually has a small opening, and you can put one single bloom, and it literally, depending on how it is, it looks like almost like a thought balloon, but it's like a blossom balloon, and the bloom comes right out of the head. It's like a little hat. So it's kind of fun to play with the bloom that it holds because it makes you think of, different kinds of things. All right. So we have Troy Schmidt here. Hello.
Hi there.
And let me know, you have a few images, I think. So let me know when you'd like me to advance.
Okay, you can put the main one on.
Is this the main one?
Of the bottle?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it yet.
Oh, you don't see what I
Oh,
see?
it's to the side. There we go. My screen was closed. Yeah,
Okay.
so Barbara mentioned showing one piece from your collection. I thought that's really hard to choose. So I could find lots of things, but this was all about form. And this is a pilgrim bottle from the Tang Dynasty in China. It's also called a coxcomb form or a leather bag shape, as they're kind of modeled after leather canteens and used on pilgrimages. If this really is Tang Dynasty, and I can't verify that it is, it would be over 1,000 years old. It would be 618 to 907. It's an interesting piece with a stoneware, and it has a black glaze on it, but the red appears to be blotted on like with a sponge, which is unusual. I haven't seen a glaze like this on anything, and I do seek out these this period of pottery whenever I go to a museum. This one I bought about 20 years ago, and I bought it on eBay, and it was 99 cents. The catch was the shipping was $99. And I didn't know if it was accurate, if it was authentic or not, but I decided for $100, I love this bottle. I love the form of it, and I wanted to add it to my collection. And it's a form that I like to make myself, but I haven't really, since COVID, I haven't made very many. This one's a little bit smaller. It was like 8 inches or so, 8.5 inches tall. I make some of them a little bit bigger than that, which is unusual because I'm known for my really small stuff. And I haven't made these in miniature. I made a few quite a while back, but I haven't really done them in scale miniature for a long time. So I just wanted to share that form with you. You can scroll through the other forms. It shows the inside. This is part of the why I think that this was blotted on with the sponge, the red part, because it only goes inside just where a sponge would reach. And on the outside of the form too, there's a little bit of the red below the black glaze on the unglazed portion. It doesn't come out as intense there. And then there might be one more picture just to show the bottom of it. And these were typically not trimmed on the bottom. This one is flat on the bottom. It has a little dent as the person that is the maker set it onto the shelf. He didn't set it down perfectly flat. It dented a little bit, but they didn't fuss with it. They made a nice clean form, and they did have a twisted handle, and then that's it.
Maybe after the person made it, they put it on their camel
Yeah.
slightly
Hung-
soft leather heart, and it got dented since, you know, it was a pilgrim bottle.
Yeah.
So,
Make of that red. It's doesn't look like something that old, that red to
No,
me.
it doesn't. And that was the biggest whistle that went off, but it's a really cool glaze. There was one other piece. There was a spouted ewer little jug with the same glaze that was a companion piece, but it was, you know, you couldn't combine shipping. It would have been $100 just to ship it. So I didn't buy both. I was a little too skeptical to get both, but it was a beautiful form. I liked this one just a little bit better. Any other questions?
Mr. Roy.
well, excuse me, thank you. So Lauren Kate, I think, is not here either. So I wonder if that's a matte a slip that was graffitoed on glaze or a dry glaze that was maybe with applied black stain, black iron oxide. What do you think?
Graffito. Dark clay body, white slip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it was carved in.
Janet, do you have access to the emails that people sent these pictures in with?
No, but she has a few images. So let me just go ahead and I'll circle back if we need
Well,
to.
okay, I was just going to
Oh, here
say,
it is.
I took a peek into the email, and I believe Lauren talked about that piece in her email. So
Oh,
I can look
okay.
that up.
You could read it if you want it. And here it is right here. Oops. Sorry about that. Raul Angulo Cornell lives in Los Angeles.
I have a Raoul Cornell piece. It's a very large red, copper red vase, kind of a lidded jar. Later, I'll show it. I didn't choose it as my piece, but I do have one of his pieces. He's an architectural artist.
Do you want my take on it?
Sure.
All right. If you look at the bottom, you see that the signature is over through a swipe of black engobe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they put the clay body is a kind of a light colored stoneware. So it would lead me to think that he used the same black underglaze on the piece and then fired it, and then went ahead and graffitoed through the matte glaze, the matte white glaze.
Yeah.
Okay, I can tell you what she wrote. It's
All right.
okay. According to Amoka, Raoul is a very popular 1960s and highly collectible mid-century ceramic artist whose work has been shown at, then she lists a bunch of museums, including the Smithsonian. Many of you will likely remember some of his production pieces in the 60s and can Google to see his pieces. His name is Raoul Coronel. Is that how you guys are saying it? Coronel? Yeah. Still lives in Los Angeles. He's an American mid-century sculptural modernist master of ceramic. I think she's copying this from a website. Was very popular in the 60s and made lamps, pots, sculptures, fountains, murals, architectural elements. This platter wall piece is 22 inches in 22 inches round. I guess that means in diameter, not circumference. According to Raoul, this is an important piece because it makes the point that he diverged from making strictly functional items and began exploring more artistic and sculptural forms. It is signed by hand and script, Raoul 64. It is a throne Raoul made pottery commercially. It is until 1965. He has authored a book titled Death by Fire, the Kiln Goddess, which is a tongue-in-cheek murder mystery built around the career of a successful mid-century potter, his career thinly disguised. Anyway, let me see. He was born February 28th, 1926. That's my birthday. Not that year. But yeah, he was born on my birthday in Mexicali, Mexico. Moved here in 44. Anyway, I thought, okay, here we go. I purchased this 1964 signed platter at auction in the 1990s. Platter wall hanging is 22 inches round, 2 inches high. So there you go. That's what she has to say. I thought there was more information than that. It was more biographical.
Good. So we have about 1 minute if we're going to stick to our plan, but did you want to share that other piece, Rebecca, that you have right there? Can you unmute? We can't hear you.
Yes, that would help, wouldn't it?
Thank
Okay,
you, Rebecca.
pulled it up. It's about 30 inches tall. I don't know. If
We
ever-
can't see it while you're
Can you
sharing.
step back?
I think you need to take it off the PowerPoint so people can see.
Okay,
Well-
hold on.
Maybe she can
Oh, here.
either quit screen sharing or she can wait till the slide.
I can also do it at the end.
Okay,
Yeah,
why don't
do
we
it at
do
the
that?
end.
Whoops.
Okay. we'll do
Okay,
it at the end.
okay.
It's heavy.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So we have Drew now.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi there. How are you?
Great. Thanks for being here.
Good. And I wanted to share this was something in Claudia and my collection. And the fun thing, one of the fun things about this Hino pot, which was signed on the bottom, Vivica and Otto, was that I found it at a thrift store in Ojai and paid $2.50 for it. And I thought that was a pretty good deal for a pretty cool pot.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so I don't have a biggie on that. I'd say it was about, I didn't even measure it. I think it's about 8 inches tall, and we use it a lot for flowers.
Very good shape for flowers.
Looks salt fired, right, with cobalt?
You know, it may well be.
It looks like it.
It may well be.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of a, I don't know if you can tell in the pictures, it's got a little raised design, like they
slip trailed.
slip trailed. You can see it a little bit in the iris flower. Oh,
Oh, sorry about that.
well, that's the inside.
Yeah.
So that's about it. But I thought it was fun to see something like this in the thrift store, and a nice thing to add to one's collection. And then there was one other pot also. No.
Oh, somehow it never made it in there
Okay.
if
Well,
it was
then-
submitted. Like I said, I'm just delivering the PowerPoint. I actually didn't
Yeah.
create it.
All right.
Well,
Fair
maybe it'll come up later.
Good enough. Well, it was another one that I had collected, but that's okay. And I don't have a need to absorb all of the 4 or 5 minutes of time. Others may need more time.
I can show the email that at the end when we do the individual ones, because I can see them. But it involves shells and whatnot.
That was Claudia's.
That
There was
was
yet
mine.
another one.
Is that okay?
There was a pot with a.
Oh, I
very
see another
thin
one.
neck.
Doug Cheng.
Okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
Doug Chen.
So we can add that on the end then
Thank you.
as well, right?
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, and Marie she's here, right? But we
Yeah.
also have a wonderful video. So let's see.
Oh,
I wonder if she has music in the background.
No. Do you want me to just tell you? Just go to the front picture and I'll just tell you.
Okay, hold on. The front picture.
Well, the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is an effigy pot made by Juan Casada in Mata Ortiz, Mexico. About 40 years ago, I went down under the aegis of the Idlewild School of Music and the Arts. I took a train down through the countryside in Mexico. It was a decommissioned old car that still had a pot-bellied stove in it, and it was made available to us, and a couple of us took that train. No air conditioning, throw the windows open, long hair flying out, but just wonderful, racing through the Mexican countryside. Got down to Mata Ortiz, was going to go do a 3-week workshop with Juan Quesada, and that year they'd had a flood. They fire with Munega, the cow patties, and all the cow patties got wet that they had stored. So we piled into various pickups and went up into the mountains to a village that made its living by selling wood. So they would sell the good cuts of wood, and they made the entire village, the outbuildings, the corrals, the rodeo arena, everything out of the bark side of the wood. So it looked like an elf village. So we bought up their scraps of wood and lugged them off to our camping site. I camped by the river in my tent for 3 weeks, next to the daughters of Lucy Lewis, the very famous Acoma potter, her daughters Dolores and Emma. And it was, what an unusual stroke of luck to be there at that time. You could tell how high the flood was by the pampers in the trees. So swimming in the river was kind of problematic. Okay. Now, you see that saw blade over there on the table? That is the way Juan makes these pots. Well, first of all, he was a woodcutter in his early life, and he saw the shards of these wonderful pots lying on the ground, and he figured out how to make the pots. He found where the clay was. He dug the clay. He taught himself how to process it. He then began to look at more and more of the designs, and he taught himself how to make this pot. And he begins by a puki, which is the bottom part of a pot, the rounded part of the pot, which he bisque fires off. And then he makes a little slab of clay, puts it on the puki, and then he coils clay and puts it around the sides, and he brings the pot up with coils. Now, this is a very, very light pot, very thin. So he takes the saw blade, and he brings with the teeth, he brings the clay together and comes up, and then with the flat side, he smooths it. And you see that thing that looks like a pencil beside it? That is a brush, and at the tip of it, if you ever get a chance to watch this video, you can see how fine that brush is. He called his wife over, who had long hair. He said, Gia, come over here. And he cut her hair and handed each participant a few of her hairs, which we tied to that stick with red string. And that was our fine line brush. He figured out how to crush the minerals to make the dark color. And he dipped his brush in the mineral mixture and then made those very, very fine lines with his wife's hair. So there you are. I love this pot because it's it was a long time ago, and I like those pots that were made about 40 years ago, because they're more intricate. They have more design painted on them, and they're truer to the old ancient designs that came out of Paquime and the Mata Ortiz style of painting, but I love this because it's an effigy pot. And I'm very fond of the effigy mounds here in America, the chalk horse in England, the Nazca lines, anything that was made with these wonderful effigy figures, just, I don't know why, speaks to me very loudly. So that's in a nutshell what that is. And when I was down there, fortunately, Walter Parks, who became very instrumental in bringing Juan up to the recognition of America, he came down, and it was fabulous because he drove down and then he gave me a lift home. We live in the same sort of place. And I was able to collect. So the pots I have from Matt Ortiz, I collected 40 years ago. And I just treasure every one of them. They're all my teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a nutshell.
That's an amazing story. Wow.
Oh, it was fabulous. And that was so funny. You'd think living in your tent for 3 weeks, you go batshit. But no, it was so freeing. And one of the little girls who was helping us out in the kitchen in our campo cocina, had a birthday. And every single one of us found some unique little thing that we had in our stash. And we made her presents out of we had very minimal things with us. But we made her a wonderful party. And at night they would have big bonfires, and the helpers were fabulous. They were very romantic guitars and the ranchero songs and dancing by these wonderful bonfires, throwing off and here I was over in the corner with one of those cave lights on my forehead, painting my pots. And you can see my little effort over here on way over to the left side of the picture. In the video, I reach over and show you my effort, and it's amazing.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I think that would warrant a write-up, and I bet potters and clay enthusiasts would love hearing a story like that. So imagine, opening Studio Potter and reading just that rich experience, and also how informative, and maybe what a catalyst and the kind of confirmation, you got 40 years ago, and to possess this.
And, our potters will know that those 2 stones there on the left. Yeah. And Gia was the one who polished his pots. And the damn thing about that is you can't do it too hard, because you drag that black mineral off onto the tan clay and you can't get it off. So she had the lightest touch, and she was so patient with him and with all of us.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You're a very good storyteller too. Thank you. All right. We have Lynn. Are you here, Lynn? No? Okay, well, here's Lynn's piece that she's sharing. So Ed Thompson in San Diego. Does anyone know Ed Thompson in San Diego, the potter?
Lynn's here.
Okay. I have her on my list, but are you there, Lynn?
She's muted. Gotta unmute Lynn.
Okay.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, thank you, Lynn.
So Ed Thompson and I were in the same class at the University of California in San Diego. I had known him through the Potters Guild there too. He's a wonderful potter, but unfortunately he has passed. Anyway, the piece itself, he was meticulous in his carving, as you can tell. And he would make all kinds of things, but this one, it was just 18 inches tall. And then people would come and help him unload his truck when he would come to one of the sales. And he never went home with anything. Everything was gone. This piece is the Val Cushing's antique bronze. He had a fired to cone tannin reduction in his kiln. Any questions? Nope. Okay.
Did he use like a, did he use a standard trimming tool, or do you make custom tools for the fluting?
No, he just used the standard trimming tools. He would lay out a grid with pencil and then work with that.
Yeah, it's beautiful how it broke absolutely perfectly. Sublime.
You can see where he dipped it from the
Yeah,
bottom and then
I
from
see
the
the
top.
line. Yeah,
Yep.
beautiful. It reminds me of a seed pod or a melon or a gourd,
Mhm.
or, you know, references that sort of natural beauty.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. It also reminds me a little bit of, you know, some sort of bone, or maybe it's a little sort of striations or spines on there. Just beautiful, the simplicity and directness of it.
That would be Ed. He's greatly missed.
Oh, but think of how many vessels are out there.
Lots and lots. He started as a young person, and he was actually at the university even then. I have one of his very first mugs. It's tiny. But then he and his family moved to Portland, so he would apprentice with one of the potters up there, or several of the potters, and he learned a lot. And he brought all of what he learned back and taught it at the university. So.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you. Okay. I think Claudia is not here.
Yes, she is.
Oh, she is? Let me put my, whoops,
Oh,
sorry.
these are the pieces that were in the email that I was going to show.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll just do that now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the shell one is one I constructed a while back. I just haven't given it away, waiting for the right person and right moment. Made out of many little impressed shell molds that we have, sprigs.
That's beautiful.
I know it is.
Yeah, the way is that a celadon on there? A blue
Yes, and
celadon?
I can't remember which celadon I used, but yes, it is.
I like the purity of the construction too, that it looks just that it's, you know, shells that have sort of been piled up or delicately poised and then fused and encrusted with more shells. And so it really sort of, you know, refers to its original essence.
A little shell free for all.
When you
Yeah.
make something like that, do you do you just say, hey, I'd like to do some pieces with shells and just start making the molds and then start playing with them? Or do you have sort of a vision of the type of shells and the scale of shells, and then you go ahead and make the molds and execute?
In this case, we had a number of different shell. Actually, the bigger molds, I think what I did was they were so nice as far as being their own little slump mold, that I just went right into the bigger shells with clay. I just started to play around with how they could all fit together. So.
And then this, well, when you're ready to bring up the other one, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything more to say. It was, you know, just trying to figure out how to cover all the the places that the shells didn't meet with other shells and make sure it was going to stay together.
Does this hold water? Is it a vase?
It does. It
Potentially?
does. It does hold water. Yeah, and I used a kind of a black, I think it was a black glaze on the interior.
Mhm.
And the little on the top, the little shell that you can see where the is really trying to keep those shells together as I was making it. The bigger shells. Needed that for reinforcement.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
This one I'll just speak briefly on. I collected I bought this off of a potter named Doug Chang in San Francisco in 1975 or 6. And I was working it was my first time that I got working with clay at a studio in San Francisco, and this man worked there, and this is one of the smaller pots. Let's say it's about 8 inches high. And he did all hand building. They were eggshell thin, very light. And he also made huge, big, really big scale pots that were reinforced on the inside with support, clay support walls. But this is one that I just really have enjoyed through the years. And, you can see how it's textured on the bottom with what looks like iron oxide. Or an oxide, and then glazed, on the top. But he made very sensual and organic shapes, and I've always enjoyed having this in the collection. You're muted, by the way, Janet.
Oh, I am?
Yes, now you're not.
Oh dear, sorry, I'm like pressing the wrong thing here. Sorry about must be pressing something here, mysterious. I really enjoy the way that top part sort of, I can't decide whether it's like growing out of that bulbous form or whether somehow it like floated down and like ended up in it and sort of displaced the volume, almost like when you puff your cheeks out,
Yeah. Well, it is, by the way,
kind of a beautiful dynamic there.
Yeah, and as you might guess, but you can't really see, there's a little hole in the very top that goes all the way through.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see it. Okay.
Yeah, it's really
the top down picture.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, interesting formal elements too, with the smooth and the textured and the singular volume and sort of the bulbous volumes.
Mm-hmm.
And what about that juicy place where the glaze pools there, where it connects?
Yes, isn't that juicy?
It's really active. It's like, whoa, what's going on there? Is it a state of transformation or, So, yeah, very suggestive. And one of our favorite glaze words, juicy, which beginning students always laugh at. They're like, well, I can use that word juicy to describe the glaze. So, all right. Anything else?
Nothing else on that. Thank you for sharing.
All right. Thank you. All right. What about Irene? Oh, can you unmute?
Okay, can you hear me now?
You bet.
Okay, this was a pot that was pit fired by a friend of mine, and he's the one that started our small group of friends doing pit firing. And he, within 2 or 3 years, this was back in 2005, by 2008, he was making these, I mean, this doesn't compare to what he was making later. They were so beautiful, and he was selling them up to 300 to 600 back in 2008. And unfortunately, he didn't start in pottery until he was probably in his 40s. And I don't know if he worked in the lumber industry. That's when I was living in Oregon. And he passed away from something. It was the hospital's fault. It was something that shouldn't have happened, but did. And he passed away right shortly after he had gotten married. But the pots that he was making were just beautiful. This doesn't even show what he used to make, but he wouldn't share with us what he was doing. So when we would glaze our things, he would go in another room and we couldn't see how he was doing it or what he was doing. So, you know, I wish he had shared his secret before he passed away, but he didn't. And so this was when I first started pit firing, but that was his bowl that, oh, I know how I happened to get this. He was transporting one of my pots to a show and he broke it. And he gave me this in exchange for what he had broken. And that's how I came to get this one. But this one is about, it's not really tall. It's 6 or 7 inches tall, but it is wide. But that's all I have to say on this one. Now this one is my favorite. This was made by, well, the little story is he and his wife met online, and I seem to remember that they wrote poetry. I'm not certain, but I think they wrote poetry or they wrote. And she was doing pottery and he was a doctor and he lived down south someplace. Well, they got married and he came back to Oregon and he started doing pottery, but he told us at one of our group meetings that he now was only practicing as a physician part-time because he had to support his love of pottery. And this piece is a piece that is, the vase is actually 23 inches tall, and he fired it upside down because as you can see, it comes to a point. And he said, this particular piece that I bought, the top of the glaze, you can just barely see that dark piece at the top. He said it just ran and stopped there. Otherwise, he said the whole thing would have been ruined. And then he made the, he welded the stand himself. And I've heard since that he and his wife divorced and she passed away. And I don't know if he's still doing pottery or if he went back to Florida or wherever he was from. But anyway, that was his story, that he did love pottery and he did do a beautiful job of what he did. And he taught himself, you know, he didn't go to school. He just taught from working in her studio. And this is what he was making after just, you know, not after many months of practicing.
Is that diagonal pattern of reflection or is that part of the?
No, he turned the vase upside down so it was on its collar and then he poured the glazes on it. And that's why he said he was so scared because that dark line that is near the collar, the glaze stopped right there after it was fired. He says, otherwise it would have gone onto the shelf.
I'm talking about that pattern that looks like a woven pattern or something. Is that just a reflection?
Yes, this is in my collection, but you're talking about
reflection. Is that a reflection or is that part of
on which part though?
Right where you're circling, right where Janet
right.
is circling.
Okay, I think that is a light spot. And I don't know what glazes he used because they are, let's see, it's kind of a pinkish beige on that part.
But I was actually talking about what looks like a woven pattern. See where the mouse is circling around?
I'm looking at it.
That just a reflection? I guess
looks like dots.
Yeah, it looks like moire dots or something.
Now,
like
I don't,
green, you know, they sprayed a glaze.
I'm trying to, because I don't think it's a reflection because I'm looking at it in the background. I'd bring it over, but it's too heavy. It's really heavy to carry, but it's not a reflection.
Okay.
It's part of the glaze.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pattern or something.
He might have taken a perforated screen and then, you know, sprayed something darker. Maybe the blue up here.
Well, he told me it was all poured. He started from the pointed end, had it turned upside down and just poured it.
I think this was poured, but this is such a precise pattern and it looks, I don't know. I
That's
guess
what
that
he
it's a
told me.
manufactured screen and then it
right.
was sprayed, so it pretty much was like a sprayed
Right.
stencil. That's
Right.
just my guess, but who knows?
Or,
Okay.
or it
Well,
could
he,
have been impressed into the clay.
well, he
Could
told
have
me
been.
it was all poured. So unless he was lying, but he did say it was, the whole thing was poured.
Well, the glaze could have been
Maybe
poured, but
not
it's
the,
the texture that's on the pot. That's what we're looking at.
Right
the-
here.
Yeah.
okay, mine doesn't have any texture,
Do you
so.
see do you see the picture?
Yeah, I
on
see
the
where it's
screen?
going, right.
Yeah. So then if it doesn't have texture, it must just
No,
be a
it's all
reflection.
smooth.
It's just a
Wow.
reflection of
Yeah,
in your-
it's smooth.
yeah.
It's an artifact in the photograph.
Yeah.
Oh,
Interesting.
it must be.
Oops.
And this one,
Shoot.
whoops.
Sorry.
This one I bought in Saint, let's see, well, I understand it's pronounced Saint Helena, over in the wine country in Napa area. And when I walked in the store, if you could see it in person, it just had a life of its own. And I talked to the clerk that was working there, and she told me that this was made by, I don't know if anyone reads French. I've never paid attention or tried to see what it says, but evidently she lived in France, and everything was coil built. And she was an elderly lady by the time I bought this in 2013. And evidently she was teaching her son how to, the secret of how she did it. And evidently he has continued, because recently, I think I saw it in Ojai. I mean, one similar to it. And I'm positive that must be her son that's doing it, because it looked he's from France, and it looked almost exactly like this guinea hen. And, oh, I know. And so when I bought it, there were 3, when I walked in the store, I immediately went to it and I thought, I don't care how much it costs. I want this. I just really fell in love with it. And as we're walking out, 3 other women they weren't together, but different people had walked in, and I turned around to watch them, and they walked immediately to the table, and each one of them grabbed it right off the table and bought it. It just, something about it, I don't know. It's something, they were pretty much the same color, if I remember.
All right. Well, thank you, Irene. I'm glad you have it, because you really sound like you love it.
I do. I have room here that I brought it from Oregon and really bubble wrapped it with tons of bubble wrap.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Okay. Is Myra here? I can't see my whole screen and look
Yes,
at you.
I'm here. I'm
All
here.
right. Great. Thank you, Myra.
This was a piece that was given to me by someone who thought I might like it. And that was told, and it makes sense that it was like a trap for octopi in Japan. And they would make them by the hundreds, and they'd put them in the shallows where the octopus lived. And they would not naturally go into them as a home. And then they would go and gather up all the pots and capture the octopus and put the pots back into the area. And over a period of time, having been reused, the barnacles started to grow on them, and they became part of the reef kind of decor, which probably made them better traps. But I think octopi are incredible creatures that have no reason to be on this planet. And I just think that it's just kind of a dilemma for me to have this piece and to know that they're being trapped that way still, with large pots for larger octopi. And as an artifact, I'm fascinated by it. And it has kind of the glaze on here is photographed green, but in natural light, it actually, by the door, actually more brown. So I don't know what kind of glaze it would be, but they were made in mass and only glazed on the inside. And the barnacles have broken off as with all the moves I've made. And I just thought it might be interesting for everybody to see it.
Amazing.
The thing it reminds me of is how it's not that many decades ago that pottery was plastic. It's like if you needed containers for things, it was made out of clay mostly.
Right.
And here it
And
is. And
reusable.
today, no one would make pots to do this today.
Yeah. Well, I noticed, I just saw a special on TV where they showed an organization that has actually saved over 7,000 octopus by going down and finding these traps, they called them. And they were large. They were like 2-gallon containers, stoneware, dark, and they were releasing the octopus one by one.
Yeah.
And they're still doing it. It's very efficient and very much in keeping with the nature of everything.
Better than plastic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it makes sense if you think about it without any kind of feeling. Yeah, and clay is one of those materials that, and making things in clay and using things in clay it's a lifestyle. It's a certain consciousness, and it's just amazing. Life can be lived without plastic.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's nature's decoration right there too. I think we can
Yeah.
learn so much from that, you know.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? That
Arrangement
it
of
would
it.
become part of the living
Yeah.
ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, if they would just leave them down there and not harvest the octopi.
I was thinking the same thing. Give them homes like a rescue might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so smart. I'm surprised they haven't figured the trick out.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well, they are smart, that's for sure. They can get into anything. There's a movie out on octopus called, I think, My Friend the Octopus.
Yeah.
Has
Yeah.
anybody seen that? That
I
says
have.
so
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
A few
It's
years
worth
ago.
viewing. Yeah. It's on
Yeah.
YouTube.
It's very beautiful.
It,
Poetic.
it- oh, it's unbelievable. It just
Poignant.
trans, trans, what is it? Transports you. Yeah. It transports you.
Mm.
An amazing book called The Soul of an Octopus, too. Incredible. The woman who's a nature writer who wound up at the aquarium in Boston and having a relationship with a couple of octopuses there.
Yeah, this man had a relationship with a wild octopus until she died giving birth. I mean, it was unbelievable and he would free dive to go down to her, and he would hold his breath while he took the film for a period of years, and it was in the north in the cold water. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. There's so much sentient life on this planet if we could only slow down enough to figure it out.
That's a great statement to end on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
I'm
Hello.
here.
Good.
I got interested in making musical instruments by Brian Ransom, who you can Google him, and he's got a lot of stuff online. Most of his work, he went to Peru on a Fulbright grant, and he learned about the whistling water pots that they had down there, and he wanted to figure out how they worked, so he learned how they worked. And usually it's the displacement of water, so there's usually two vessels and a channel between them, But when I did mine, I didn't want a high fire, the pots wouldn't hold water. They would like weep. So I made mine that were just used with air. So you can see the little tail sticking up, and then the body of the cat holds, it's a big solid air chamber, and you blow through there, and then the bird is the whistle. So when you blow in the tail, you can either say he's meowing or the bird is chirping, however you want to blow on it. So, anyway, when I made this piece, I looked and looked. I couldn't find the picture of while I was making it, because before I put the cat's head on, I had the bird, which is the whistle, so that I got it to whistle and made sure it worked. And then I actually glazed the bird while it was still wet clay. And then I put the head on afterwards. And that's about it, I guess. I don't know if you have any questions.
How tall is this piece?
It's about a foot tall.
Wow.
It's maybe a little
Beautiful.
less. Yeah.
Patty,
Thanks.
it's wonderful.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
cool.
it's amazing. Right.
Well, I really got interested in the musical instruments. It was through ACS DC, the American Ceramic Society, and I learned about it from my friend Bonnie Malcolm that lived in Big Bear, and she went to they used to go to Catalina Island and fire with buffalo chips. And so through that, it was just one thing after another. She had me join ACS, and we went to Catalina and had fun. And one of the participants of the pit fire there, she was teaching us how to make whistles, and I thought, this is just so neat, And it wasn't big, because I wasn't into working big. I was, afraid to work big, and then she taught us about Brian Ransom, and then he held a workshop, and then I went to his workshop in Mendocino, which was just beautiful. They have the art center there, and you're right at the beach, and it's cool in the summer, and it was just really beautiful. So he's really good, and he makes all kinds of instruments, and he actually, I don't know if he still does, but he had a musical band with all clay instruments. And he makes his mostly use water though, but I wanted to use air because I didn't want to. I made one, I guess some people might have seen it because I had it years back. It was the coyote with a cactus, and you blew in the cactus apple and the coyote would howl. And so, but I just didn't want to put water in it because then you have to tip it and everything. And so this way you just blow in it and it works. So.
It's really great.
Yeah, what fun.
What are
It's
the
so fun.
whiskers?
Yeah.
What are the whiskers made of?
Oh, it's just copper wire.
Oh,
Very
Put them
effective.
afterwards.
yeah, it's beautiful.
I did the teeth afterwards too. I just poked holes because I thought there's no way the teeth are gonna, work. I kind of wish I made him a little smaller because he looks kind of mean, but would have been cuter smaller maybe, but it's okay.
Did you add some oxide on the skin of the cat, like on the?
Yeah, yes. I use well actually it's funny, there's a mountain on next to Santa Paula. If you go, I mean you can see Santa Paula, it's across the valley there, and there's white and brown streaks, and there's the brown dirt that's there. It's really wonderful for a stain, and so a lot of that is that. And I just used a whole bunch of different, I think there's is it Bernard slip and some of that dirt, and then low fire glaze. It's not high fired. I think I only fired it to 06. So it's more like bisque.
It's so rich for a low fire. It's a beautiful, looks like you really achieved a beautiful kind of depth to the staining and the way you handled those materials.
Thanks. The
Yeah.
other thing that's kind of important is I don't think I could have made it with it's paper clay. And so the paper clay holds together really good, and you can do that glazing, when it's still wet clay. And I think that, I really don't think I could have done it if I wasn't using that paper clay. Honestly, it would crack and everything, and it didn't do any of that. So it worked really good.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Patty.
You're welcome.
All right. And Elena?
Yeah, this piece I bought it last fall during a High Studio Artist Open Tour. This is from Wyatt Amend, if I spell it correctly. He's an artist from Ohio. As I remember, at that time he was moving to another region, and I was like, I need to have something from him. I like his goblets a lot. They're very, I guess he's famous because even like his way how he construct the goblets, but they're much more expensive. And about this plate, this is not a big size as you see. It's about 7.5 in diameter and about 1.5 inch maybe tall. But I like about this piece how he work, like this preparational work before glazing, all these grooves, how he measure, doing this navigation with the glazes. And I don't know, like backside, all these grooves, they fill up with silver glaze. It's also very, different from the backside, and the groove inside, like of this foot rim. It's also his way how to hang the plate to the wall. There are no holes, but this groove inside, you can put nails in. And I just like this combination. It's like mandala or something about controlling glazes, but at the same time, like this floating effect, just beautiful. And he's a modern ceramist in our area.
That's an interesting idea about putting the groove in the foot. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very subtle way to let you hang a plate.
Yeah, my old mentor, Ken Ferguson, that's how all those plates, a lot of his, huge hair plates are hung. Thick groove trimmed in, and then just his assistant would wire them up, go in the groove, and then literally just have a screwdriver and twist. Super direct, but smart.
Well, I was hearing that the groove was on the inside of the foot, so that if you had a nail in the wall, it would just.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you mean, Elena?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you see? I have this plate just before me, in front of me, and this groove goes like here inside
on the
of
inside of the foot.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Never mind what I said.
Not outside, but inside, and it's
I like that idea.
very careful, like hanging system. Maybe like you cannot hang on one nail. Maybe it's not secure. It's not so deep inside, but if you have at least two of them. And
you could do it on two nails. Yeah.
But Janet, I know what you mean. I've seen that too, where they actually make the rim on the outside of the foot and then you wrap the wire all the way around.
Yeah, and then you don't get the stress of penetrating, the foot, even if you drill it like when it's perfectly leather hard, depending on what it is. So, yeah.
Either way, there's lots of ways to solve the problem.
Yeah, there's so many interesting solutions. I love this though. It makes me really want to try it, to undercut that groove. Thanks for sharing that, Elena.
It was kind of his
very clever.
Kind of his secret, but I think it's not much secret because I saw this construction on other ceramic. Other people are doing similar things sometimes. It's kind of his secret, but not much. And also I add here this information at his Instagram and website. If you are not familiar, like his goblets, they're really very, very beautiful. and the way how he constructed is it's just amazing. I suggest you to take a look.
He'll be on the Ojai Studio Tour first weekend in October.
I know, I think he's moved.
Well, he did move to Sebastopol, but he is still showing with his parents in Ojai during the
Oh,
tour.
great. Great.
Yeah.
Gorgeous work.
Well, thank you so much, Elena. All right.
I'll unmute. Well, this piece, you see the first one, it's an olive jar. It's pretty tall, pretty thick. It's been shot up with bullets, and inside reveals a temple in Aleppo, Syria, that was destroyed by the Russians. And I don't know, I sent several pictures. Are there just these two? Oh yeah, okay. So when you turn I always like to surprise people and say, look at that pot. And then I turn the light on and you get this gasp. People say, oh wow. And that's the reaction I had. I was at Insika in 2007. No, maybe 18, because it was made in 17. I was at Insika and I saw it on one of their annual show and said, oh, I really like that. I went back during the opening, had a glass of wine, said, it's still there. And I bought it. And those are the two brothers. They're from North Carolina and they do amazing work. And this spoke to me because it's kind of a collision of history, art, culture, war, and so much is said in this one piece that I'm glad I got it. And those are the two brothers that tower over me. And they make a lot of, if you go to their website, they just make a lot of wonderful things. They have a whole European collection. And I can read from, they were also on the cover of Insika that year. It was 2018. I can read what they said about the piece if you would like to hear it.
Sure, great.
At least I'll do the first paragraph. This work is a eulogy for the destroyed Syria. The broken reproduction olive jar was shot through by a barrage of bullets to reveal a view, the courtyard beyond. A close-up view of the now devastated Umayyad Mosque reveals a large courtyard with a famous minaret in the background that collapsed because of the war. And it goes on to say, our sculptures are inspired by the fragility, destruction, and archaeology of great civilization, the artifacts of pottery and architecture that are resembled from the mere shards found among the crumbled foundations. And he says, he starts by creating reproductions of ancient pottery from the time and place where we are researching. Then after firing, decorating, and distressing the surface, the jar is broken to reveal the interior space. We then work clay into the volume of the jar to create a panoramic view of the site that it would have appeared in its prime. And there's so much detail that even as I took close-up pictures, I said, oh, they painted the flooring or the floor of the mosque. And oh, in the background there's a whole hillside of homes that they managed to put in. But this is my favorite piece.
Wow. Wonderful.
Incredible piece.
Yeah, it's not necessarily going to make you feel good when you see it because it is about destruction. But to me, it's a more moralizing, history and a sacred mosque in Syria.
How large is it?
Pardon?
How large is it?
It's on the last thing. It said it was like 10 by 10 by 11. Yeah, 11 by 10 by 10. It's very heavy. Yeah, as you can imagine, because it's solid pieces that they made inside it. I have no idea how they got everything inside. They have the top opening and then this opening here that they built through.
Maybe they put chips in bottles in their free time. So, wow.
The close-up of through the opening, it's like hard. It's hard for my brain to get that someone actually did that inside of that little hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And kind of get the perspective too. It's yeah.
And if you turn and look at different angles, they have everything covered. So it's not just you look through the front and see something. It's it's almost a 360-degree view inside, except for where they blew it through.
Yeah.
And I think they had fun shooting at the pot. These guys, if you look at one of their videos, they have this whole thing about how they break pots. They're like 8-year-old boys.
So where's the light? Is the light inside the pot?
Yeah, it's in the top. It's just like a little nightlight, and it was all wired and everything, and so it just illuminates the whole interior when you turn it on.
Because it almost looks like you're lighting it from the rear, but you can't be doing that.
Right. Well, they have a light blue sky, so I think that kind of reflects in it.
Okay. All right. It's really lovely.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
And look at the pattern on the floor.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I don't
that's it.
know, but I have a feeling that looks like that the construction, this architectural piece was inside and like the top of bigger part of the spot was built after that outside, like maybe even
That's what I was thinking.
not. And
Well,
it's a
but
bit-
they shot it up with a gun to get that, because it's showing a wartime thing. They wanted to reference the war with the shotgun pieces. So I think they would have destroyed some of the interior. But they have their way. And I'm not too sure how they did it.
Yeah, I don't know. They must figure out the timing if that is bisque, and then the clay must be really set up and or a low shrinkage and a hard leather hard that they somehow get it in there and they figured it out to work out the
That's true. They
I mean, I
say
think
they're
it's
they're building it after they've bisque fired it, and there would be a problem with
it's
shrinkage.
very technical to make it look like it is. So
Maybe they do a paper maquette or something.
It's all clay.
But I mean, first to get the
to do like a shrinkage, like
Yeah,
10%
yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Well, I will contact them and say that this inspired some conversation.
All right, thank you. So we have two more presenters. We have Terry and Wynn, and then several others wanted to, show a few more pieces. So let me get out of this. I think this is it. Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And now the floor is open for Terry, and then followed by Wynn, and then the others, we can use the rest of the time we have.
Okay. Well, somewhere along my internet travels, I stumbled upon this sgraffito piece by Leonel Lopez Sayans. And I just, I love plants. I don't necessarily like cacti, but I like I like the desert. I like desert plants, succulents, and all that stuff. I don't like to have cacti in my yard because they're pokey, but I think they're beautiful. And so I saw this and I just loved his sense of design and his interpretation of the desert landscape. And this is the same pot, just rotated around. I mean, just the way he interprets the cacti and the agave and the birds and everything. I was just mesmerized by it. So of course I had to Google the man and find out more about him. And I did manage to find some of his work for sale on eBay. So this is what I found on eBay. And this is about it's about 10 inches 10 inches high. So these are the birds and leaves. So it's not exactly the desert, but I thought it was very beautiful and the same level of artistry that appealed to me so much in that other piece. Let's see if I can move this zoom bar out of the way so I can click the next one. Here's his signature. And you can see the how it's burnished and the careful sgraffito that he does. And then here's the bottom, and the green desert scene. I'm sure that I saw a picture on the internet somewhere of its bottom and how it all kind of comes together. But I love the way it's like a total, it's a total job, you know. The roots come together in this wonderful point. And yeah, I just love this piece so much. Let's go back to this one. See, I can zoom in on that. And it just, you know, I just love to look at it, and it feels so good. It's smooth and it's soft. It's not high gloss and you know, it has that soft feel to it.
It's like buttery.
Yeah, yeah. And so this was my my first really conscious decision to collect a piece of art.
Nice.
It's Mata Ortiz, of course. Yeah. Any questions about it? We have the Mata Ortiz expert online if anybody wants to ask Rebecca Russell about these things. She's here tonight.
Yeah, that's a beautiful pot, and he's a very well-known potter in the village. He's one of the older potters, and there's a lot of young people. Some people do Day of the Dead and do the whole thing around of the Day of the Dead and talk about all the potters that have passed on. Yeah, there's a lot of people that have copied or used his style.
Yeah, it's very very tight and interpretive.
Yes, beautiful work. I will let him know that you have that. In fact, I'll take a picture and I'll take it down to him because I'm going down there very shortly.
Oh, okay. I think I sent you a picture. I think I texted you a picture once, but you can.
I'll just keep that, and then I'll check on him and let him know you have that.
So how old is he these days?
Oh, I'm not sure. I would say he's 50, 60.
Oh, that's not that old.
Yeah. I know, but I mean, he's right. I know, but
he's got a lot of pots ahead of him. Yeah.
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 He might be 70. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have never met him personally, but I will make a point to go visit him.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Very happy.
All right.
Well, thank you so much, Terry. It's beautiful. I love seeing the bottom there.
Me too. Yeah.
All right.
And they come with this kind of a ring stand. It's
nice.
Part
like
of
a
the
pillow.
It's a ring stand.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Because the bottom is rounded.
Yeah, and it has yarn wrapped around it, and it's good for California.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's what I got.
Thank you, thank you. And we have Win, and it's 8:27, so we're gonna, yeah, just we will have Win present now. Can you unmute? We
That would
can't
help.
hear you.
That would
Perfect.
help. Yeah. So I bought this pot in the early 1970s. I'd been making pots maybe 4 or 5 years. It was an Asian gallery Japanese gallery in Boston. And I lost the paperwork that came with it, but the claim was it was a 7th generation Bizen pot. And at that point in my potting life, I was very enamored with Bizen and Shigaraki and Tamba and like all those old, real early pre-mixed glazes, kind of these rough but beautiful and functional pieces. So got a signature on the bottom. You can see that, which, like I said, I lost the paperwork somewhere along the way moving.
Can you explain to us people that like me that don't know what this type of pottery is that you're talking
Well,
about?
it's in Japan, like in Greece, because of the terrain, like cultures grew up in the valleys between the mountains. So Bizen is an area, a valley area between mountain ranges, and they developed pottery it has this flavor. Doesn't matter, whether it's little pots or it's big pots.
It's because of what they dug or what they had to work with, you mean?
Well, local clay, Shigaraki was the same. It's, you can't really see this, but it's got, the lumps of feldspar that are in the clay that are melted on the surface. And it's obviously a really rough, probably very short clay to work with.
When when your piece goes funny, we can't see it very well because you've got your background.
You've got your face showing. Keep
So
your
the
face
piece-
out of it.
Got what showing?
Put it in front of your face. It wants to focus on your face. There you go.
Okay.
That's
okay.
better. Yeah,
Yeah, good catch, Terry. Thanks. So this lighter side was would be where the pot was down in the kiln.
Okay.
The bottom's black and the top is also lighter color. So this bottom was probably toward the firebox with the flame coming against the bottom and over the pot.
So is it ancient?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
No, the Bizen pots are old, like from, I think the oldest I don't remember, but 12, 13, 1400, the oldest ones. And this is like 7th generation. So this would have been made in the 1900s. I bought it in the 70s, so it would have been made, maybe then 50s, 60s, 70s. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know. So that's one piece. I have another piece here by a potter named Nancy Meeker, who I met and did shows with starting in the early 70s. This is a piece from probably in the mid 90s. And she was one of the first people I knew who was really, all she did was pit fire. From the top, I don't know how well can you see is the sgraffito, the carving clear?
Yes, it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So this pot, it's about 14 inches tall. And she stopped making pots about the year 2000. Her hands said no more. And if you go to her website, look at Nancy Meeker, Pottery or Ceramics. She's got pots that she hadn't sold that are for sale on her website. And she's got stuff in museums all over the world. And, so she's not making pots, but she's still selling pots. Anyway, I love that pot. And I got one more little one. This is a little teapot. Is it
Ooh, I like
focusing
the
here?
handle.
So the handle's carved. So it was a lump of clay put on, and then when the clay got leather hard, it was carved with a knife.
Oh,
This was made by Yoongi, who's a Korean potter who was in Ojai for 2 months, 3 months, many years back, 8 years back, something like that. And he had a show in Los Angeles he was getting ready for. And I don't remember how he wound up in Ojai. But he worked at Fire Stick and made pots there. And I mean, it's just a simple, very pale blue celadon. I mean, the fit of the lid, you know, it's like perfect. These are thrown off the hump. Yeah, no signature.
I actually took students down. He did demos for the kids, so we brought them down.
Yeah. Sweet guy. I mean, and he spoke way better English than I spoke Korean, which was, for me, was zero. His wife was relatively competent. You could have a conversation with her and work your way through what you were really trying to communicate and back and forth. But he's the head potter at one of the universities in Korea that has a big ceramic department. He's the head of that department. And anyway, love this pot. The feel of it, it's light, the weight, watching him throw these things off that hump. And then finishing them. You know, maybe that was a 5-minute pot.
Beautiful.
And then the lids, he didn't use calipers, he just used a ruler. And I mean, watching him finish the lids, it's like every single one fit perfectly like that. And just a cute, beautiful little 2-cup.
Do you use that, Win? Do you use it?
I do use it.
Good. I think that's what's hard sometimes is when I come into conflict is when we have valuable pieces or they gain value, the longer we keep them, like people I went to school with, and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't use that Frank Martin teapot because it's $1,200 now and I couldn't, I love using it, but maybe I shouldn't anymore. What if I break it? So there's always that conversation.
If you break it, you break it. Yeah, right.
Well, I know, but I still like it. So
yeah.
I stopped using it because it's also cracked and things like that. So
one of the things that was I knew this information, but seeing it in like when he priced his pots, right? And he lives in Korea, Japan, in Asia, where pots have value. This is $1,000 teapot in US dollars. Is the couple of moon jars that were probably 24 inches tall, like $14,000, $16,000.
Beautiful.
Wrong culture. Anyway, those are the 3 things that called to me to share.
Well, thank you so much.
Do you want to see the Raul Cornell piece?
Yeah.
Sure.
I got this at an ACS fundraiser. They had it. So here's the top. It's beautiful with copper red. I don't know if I can go all the way down to show the bottom of it.
Yeah, you are perfect.
It's 30 inches tall
piece,
to the top of the lid, which is up high. And that's the only part that's white that didn't get the copper red in the kiln. But it's I always love copper red, but it's a great piece.
Yeah.
And it
It's
sits
so
on the
nice to know. Oh, sorry. It's so nice to know who got that piece. I was part of that fundraiser and I gathered all those pots.
Where did it come from, Patty?
He donated them. He donated them to ACS. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
He's
it
proud.
was, I got it for a song for what it was worth, and but it's what ACS wanted for it, so I was happy, and I'm sure they were happy.
Yeah, it's great to see it again. There were only a couple red ones, and then he had big platters and stuff, which I got a couple of them too. So
Yeah.
that's neat.
Well, no, I love
I
having
didn't know
it.
you did.
Well, I think we were ships passing in the night because we were both there at that
Exactly.
auction.
That's awesome.
Yeah, back in my LA days.
So I actually had just something I wanted to share, and these are two little, they're either Greek or Roman pieces. And this is a little press mold. My Austrian grandfather, who was a Jew, had a friend in Vienna who was kind of an antiquities dealer. So I don't know, maybe these are looted. But he escaped to Italy, where he lived during the war, so he wasn't killed in the Holocaust. And all of these little antiquities stayed in Vienna because his wife, my grandmother, was Catholic, and so she worked for the Nazis. So I grew up loving clay, but also like seeing, you know, all of these little pieces, and also pieces like this like little Terracig ewer. And you can see like some of the throwing lines inside the vessel. You can see the Terracig is damaged. And I don't know, I mean, it does have sort of ocean-like images like Minoan pottery that you'd see. There's like a nautilus motif right here. So I've never had them appraised, but yeah, I grew up looking at all these pieces, and sadly now I have them because they're gone, but they're old. So I don't know exactly how old, but
Janet, could you show me the top of that ewer again?
You bet. It's really unusual. You can see that it was thrown.
Yeah.
It was thrown because there are throwing rings inside. And then it was like cut.
Can you like point it at us? I mean,
like that?
Yeah, there, yes, perfect. Wow, that's exactly what.
Like a
Wow,
keyhole.
that's
Isn't that
wonderful. Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah, if we have like an in-person meeting one day, I have like a dozen pieces, and I have this incredible little shigaraki bowl. Anyway, that my Japanese grandfather had, and these little, like a Persian bowl that was all like pieced together. It was all broken, and but yeah, I've got some great little pieces. Yeah, so and this piece too, which is real similar, like this little winged piece here. And it's just so fun, you know, to look at those, having grown up like across from Manhattan and go to the Met, and you see these things. And anyway, there's wonderful little fragments.
Thank you for sharing.
Cool.
Sure. All right. Well, this was great. I was just saying too, I had some other ideas with Foz, like maybe pulling from our membership. Another thought I had about a possible program was mentors and mentees, like little conversations, maybe 5 minute. Because I know all of us have been in the presence of so many wonderful, inspired people and artists and mentors. And, you know, I don't know about you, but each mentor I've had has just sort of, you know, allowed me to just learn so much, as well as sometimes it's literally like changed my life, you know, or changed the direction of my work. And I think sort of that intimate, whether it's clarity through hindsight, that we discover that as we go on, and we think, oh my God, this body of work, you know, catalyzed after I left that workshop, or after, you know, I went to that craft fair and then followed up with that potter. They're kind of wonderful stories, you know, because we potters many of us are social beings, and we want to share and we want to grow in the presence of others. We're not just holed up in our studios. So I was thinking, I don't know, I'll talk to Foz, but if we have other opportunities to, share from our membership, it's good when we don't necessarily have an outsider coming in. And these little snippets, I really enjoyed it tonight. What do you think? Did you enjoy the program?
Yes.
Very
Yes.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yes.
think
It was
it should be
great.
done
Well,
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, Janet. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we've
thank
all
you.
got more stuff.
What's that?
We've all got more stuff. We could
That's
Yeah.
do
Oh
right.
my
That's
gosh. We
right.
have so much. That would be the other, if we're ever in person too, wouldn't it be fun to have, like to have the Antiques Roadshow? Like if we had all the objects at different tables and we could just like walk around, maybe not touch everything, but we could actually like look at this stuff.
Well, we are having an in-person meeting, our potluck in December. The Clay Challenge potluck December meeting is going to be in person. So maybe we can cook up some kind of a sharing scenario for that as a,
as an
one of-
activity.
We've also talked about having some studio visits, and if there's a studio visit, there could be also a
yeah.
collection visit too, because it's hard to cart some of these things around.
It's a good idea.
True.
Hey,
Yeah.
I know we're running out of time, but Terry, say more about the potluck, about what
Okay.
the
Well, we've secured a date. It's going to be on a Saturday, December 9th. And it's at the in the afternoon from 2 to 6. And it's at the Barranca Vista Recreation Center Park or whatever. Barranca Vista is a park that's on the east side of Ventura, off of Johnson. If anyone has ever gone to Jeannie's to pick up clay, it's very close to where Jeannie lives. So it's sort of on that, in that side of Ventura. And so it's going to be a potluck. And the clay challenge component is, you've probably read about this already because we've announced it a few times, but the clay challenge component is that you make a dish that you bring your potluck item in. And you try to, make it so that it's appropriate for what you're bringing. And then at the end, we're going to have it'll be run like a gift exchange with tickets and draw, or we haven't quite figured that out yet. There's a couple of ways we could do it, but anyway, the upshot is you're going to bring what you made and you're going to take home what somebody else made. So
Great.
it's like a gift exchange of what we make.
Very cool.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And there's not really a sign up sheet where we know what everybody else is bringing. But I mean, that's the nature of a potluck. I've kind of been thinking about making a turkey. So if anybody else was thinking about making a turkey, maybe we could flip a coin for that.
That's
But
awesome. Can I share one picture? I don't know if you can see this. Do you see this picture?
yeah, yeah.
So I used to do the exact same project. And we'd have a banquet. And this was in intermediate advanced throwing. And this is the feminist take on Little Red Riding Hood. It's about rape. So this was a tureen that held berries. And this is like, well, maybe it's a little heavy for night, but there's the big bad wolf. And here's the blood-stained cloth and cape. And these are the enticing berry baskets. And the platter grounds, the wolf, but it's all carved, so that's the sense of place in the woods. And so this is the feminist Little Red Riding Hood banquet piece that the student submitted. But it was really fun to do that. And I love that you're doing it. So people would, do all sorts of imaginative things. It's really fun.
Yeah. So anyway, that's That's the deal, and we have the potluck listed on the calendar already, and we do need kind of like to have a head count so we know how to set up the room and everything. And if when you sign up on the calendar, we do ask you what you're going to bring. So I guess we'll kind of keep tabs on that and maybe publish on Member Connect now, and as it goes along, what kind of dishes are coming, so we're not redundant or anything. But you're gonna to make something that's going to match what you're going to bring. You're probably going to want to decide what to bring early on. So that's why I said, I like to make turkeys for these types of things. So I think I might just stick with that and bring a turkey. So, I'll be making some kind of a platter for it.
Or a gravy boat.
The turkey
Or the
boat.
gravy. All right, everyone. I actually need to do a little finishing up at work, so we can keep the Zoom going if I can just sign off. But thank you, everyone.
Well, thanks for putting that together. It was a nice meeting.
Great.
Yeah,
I didn't
very
put anything
nice.
together. I just was the deliverer. Foz
Thanks
put
for
it
being the
together,
MC. You
and
were a good
then-
MC.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you, Janet.
this was
I'm
great.
trying to. It's escaping me who collected all the images. Isn't that terrible?
Foz did.
Oh, okay. So Foz did both. Yeah. And then she sent me out a reminder, like, you are doing it, right? So I was like, of course. Anyway, well, it was delightful. Thank you so much.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Good night. Safe home. Just kidding. Most of you probably are at home.